Hello and welcome to part 6 of Superman in Media. This time we'll be talking about the TV show Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman. When Time Warner bought out Lorimar Television, becoming Warner Brothers Television, a quick assessment of acquired property turned up DC Comics and thus Superman. It was decided to build a romantic comedy around the famous superhero in hopes of attracting women who traditionally avoided comic book shows at this time. Deborah Joy Levine was tasked to helm the project. She had written several telefilms, 2 features, and was creative consultant on the series Equal Justice. Levine has said that she had locked herself in a room with over 300 Superman comics and sketched out the characters and wrote the pilot script. Lois and Clark owe most of its comic influences to John Byrne's 1986 miniseries Man of Steel. It was from this series that the show modelled its origin of Superman around, utilising the comic's take on how Superman's costume came to be and Superman's first big reveal to the world, both which happened around an experimental aircraft malfunctioning in some way. As with the comic, Clark Kent was the dominant personality of the Clark-Superman dual identity. In turn, this made Clark more assertive and less of a clumsy oaf he was depicted as up until that point. This led to the show's Clark becoming a highly respected reporter, beating out Lois Lane for many awards and stories. The show, however, did form its own takes on certain aspects of the character, such as Clark and Superman's hairstyle, which were reversed from the comics, with Clark having a more loose classic S-curl look, while Superman's was slicked back and neat, mirroring the character's no-nonsense policies. At the time casting for the show began, Terry Hatcher was already an established star with nearly 10 years experience in movies and television. Although others were considered for the role, Terry's ability to do drama and comedy equally were well coupled with her sex appeal, and an underlying vulnerability made her an easy standout from the crowd. The casting of Superman, however, would prove a tougher task, as Warner Brothers was looking for an actor who was 6'2" or taller, with blue eyes, and be about 30 to 34 years old. Future Hercules actor Kevin Sorbo, who was 34 years old at the time, was approached for the role, as was Dean Cain, who, as Deborah Joy Levine puts it, was a hit with the ladies around the audition time. Ultimately, it would come down to chemistry between Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher, which sealed the deal and allowed for Clark Kent and Lois Lane to be cast. With the script ready and the principal roles cast, the pilot was ready to shoot. Director Robert Butler, who was said to be the man to hire if you wanted to sell a pilot, was set to direct. The pilot was given a lavish $8 million budget and filmed in widescreen format. It was hoped that if worse came to worse and the pilot didn't sell to a network, it could be at least released in Europe as a movie and recoup the investment costs. Fortunately, the worst case scenario didn't happen. The American Broadcasting Company bought the pilot and committed to a full 22-episode season for the series. However, a problem arose when ABC decided to schedule the series for Sunday nights at 8 o'clock. Levine was given to understand that Lois and Clark would basically be moonlighting with a cape. However, when it landed on Sunday nights in the early evening, the heart of family viewing time, a formula for creating a series that would attract adults, yet not be inappropriate for children, had to be established. Innuendo and euphemism became a cornerstone of the adult banter. Profanity was non-existent except for the very occasional hell or damn. Superman, as it should be, was played as a straight arrow hero, but never depicted as quote-unquote square. It was a unique style mixture, or as one former writer stated, the hardest show to write for because of the wide age range that had to be considered. Thanks to ABC putting the show on Sunday nights at 8 o'clock, Lois and Clark had to go up against Murder, She Wrote on CBS, starring Angela Lansbury as a mystery writer and amateur sleuth. This show was thought as unassailable. It had been a ratings champion for nearly a decade. Therefore, NBC and ABC decided that they would slug it out for the second place. ABC also hoped to acquire the youth demographics that the elderly-orientated Murder, She Wrote could not attract. Murder, She Wrote was not the only obstacle ABC had to overcome, as NBC would pit Steven Spielberg's science fiction submarine series Sequest DSV against the famous superhero. To ensure that Lois and Clark prevailed, ABC and Warner Bros. Were blitzing the known universe with print ads. The multi-tiered visual campaign included black and white stylized promos, countdowns, humorous ads, and promoting the unknown actors Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher everywhere. The most famous of these ads was the black and white tattoo promo ads that were not produced to sell the series so much as the chemistry between Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. The ads also served to emphasize that this would be a different retelling of the Superman legend. ABC also scored a small coup by having Dean and Terry line up as presenters of the 1993 Emmy Awards. Their humor and chemistry was once again emphasized during this time. Once the series was officially launched, there was one drawback and one plus for it, and that was Superman. There were those who tuned in initially because they were Superman fans, while others refused to give the show even a chance, fearing it would be a comic book show. Those who tuned in hoping to see a more romantic take on the series were put off by the jarring infusion of the comic book hero. Conversely, those who tuned in to see the comic book hero were disappointed to find out that the Man of Steel was reduced to basically a cameo appearance. This clash was costly to the first season ratings. When Lois and Clark and Sequest DSV hit their mid-season points, critics were complaining that neither show had lived up to their potential shown in their respective pilots. More important to the networks, however, were the ratings, and neither show was performing very well. Both NBC and ABC ordered changes. Since Sunday night was the most watched night of television in the US market, Fox felt it had nothing to lose by putting The Simpsons in the 8 o'clock time slot. This show became an instant winner between the young adult demographics, and rapidly became the ratings winner of the 8 o'clock to 8:30 time slot. The only thing that kept Fox from winning the entire hour, however, was the failure to pair The Simpsons with a show that could hold its lead in. During this time, TV Guide described Lois and Clark as hanging by a thread. The revamp had been such a failure that not only did it not attract male viewers, but the series fell 20 ratings points from the second season debut to the midpoint of the season. The only highlight in this grim era came when someone discovered a picture of Terry Hatcher wrapped in a Superman cape on the internet, prompting it to become the most downloaded image on the internet during that time. During this time, a representative from Warner Bros. Took to the internet to find out what fans truly wanted and to assure them that the changes they might find favourable were being implemented. In a nice bit of irony, Lois and Clark aired an episode titled The Phoenix, which signalled the changing in the ratings to a more positive rating. Thanks to this rating spike, Lois and Clark became so successful that its reruns were beating first-run episodes of Sequest DSV and nearly topped the Sunday champ Murder, She Wrote in terms of per million viewers. It was during this time that they decided to up the stakes by dropping heavy hints that Lois had discovered Clark's secret on her own without Clark having to tell her. It was a smart hedge against ABC if the network continued to forbid the revelation, which of course they did, seeing as they never wanted Lois to figure out his secret in the first place. It was after the second season finale, when it wasn't clear whether Lois knew or not, that fans launched an email campaign urging ABC to let Lois in on the secret. Whether it was the email campaign or the producers and stars' persistence, ABC caved and let Lois in on the secret. This led to the best ratings the show had ever seen in its 4-season run, leading to season 3 being the only season of Lois and Clark that was never in danger of cancellation. During season 3, Lois and Clark loosened its constraints on a reality closer to ours, opting for more wacky plots and zany villains, leading to such things as Ultra Woman, which saw Lois Lane gain superpowers and aid Superman in his fight for truth, justice, and the American way. Things weren't all good for Lois and Clark, however, as Michael Eisner, chairman of the board and CEO of Walt Disney Company, announced that he wanted to bring back The Wonderful World of Disney to Sunday nights. However, none of the networks were interested in his business proposition. Fortunately for Eisner, he had Disney's billions at hand, leading him to buy ABC for Disney. This left only 2 obstacles in the way, one being Lois and Clark. During this time, Lois and Clark went through the wedding saga, which fans have now dubbed the Arc from Hell, which saw Clark Kent marrying a clone of Lois Lane. While people think this story was adapted originally for the TV show, it was actually adapted from a paperback published in 1993 called I Now Pronounce You Superman and Wife by Chuck Schlesner. In the story, Clark Kent unknowingly unknowingly marries a clone of Lois Lane. After this wedding fake-out, it only took 5 more episodes for Clark to remarry the real Lois Lane. A story arc that promised to be a roller coaster ride turned into a broken down carousel. According to Dean Cain, they pulled the wedding out from under us at the last minute, which would indicate all parties had begun the arc with the belief that the real wedding would be the end result. The end episode of the arc, Oedipus Rex, dealt with the overbearing mother and a machine that controlled everyone's actions. It seemed like a metaphor written to depict the way the writers had their control taken away from them by the studio. Though initially promised 2 more full seasons, they would only get 1. Season 4 of Lois and Clark would face the top 10 shows from CBS, NBC, and Fox, who were tired of losing to Superman. CBS moved its highest rated drama, Touched by an Angel, to Sunday night. NBC moved its top rated sitcom, Third Rock from the Sun, to Sunday night. And Fox finally found a match that could hold The Simpsons lead-in with King of the Hill. The competition had decided to get tough with Superman, ending its run on its 4th season. And now we come to the thoughts, what I thought of the show in general. And joining me this week is Tom G from Comic Book Cast. Say hello, Tom.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Now we're both kind of fans of this show. You don't like the later seasons, whereas
Well,
I kinda do.
there's stuff in the later seasons I like. Like I'll watch individual episodes from the later seasons, but I won't go back. Whenever I go and try to watch them, all the whole thing from start to finish, as the ultimate Cocktease wedding storyline starts happening in season 3,
Yeah,
I just switch off.
yeah,
It becomes harder and harder to keep watching the show.
yeah. Now we'll get to that in a minute, but we'll start from the first episode, the pilot, which was actually shot as a movie
Mm. Yeah, it was
because
shot in 16:9, which is
yeah,
interesting.
which is not really weird because like the DVDs and everything are like in 4:3 and because of some reason I'm not sure why, but
Yeah, why
apparently
just release them in widescreen already, Warner Brothers? Come on.
yeah, I know. This would be like perfect show for like a Blu-ray release. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, Blu-ray release would be great. I mean, I think it was only the pilot that was shot in 16:9.
Yeah, no, well,
And
like in doing research for this, and I sent you the links as well. I found this
yeah, yeah,
amazing website called was it redboots.net, which had
yeah.
like the entire history of this show, basically boiled down to like 5 or 6 parts. And they said in that they shot the pilot for like $8 million, which at the time I imagine was quite a fair bit of money.
Oh, yeah.
And it still is, but obviously like the exchange rates and like the different inflations and all that would probably make it come out less and everything. But they shot it in 16:9 because if it didn't get to be a show, if ABC didn't pick it up, they could at least release it in like Europe and obviously Australia and all that as a movie.
Yeah, like a DVD movie. Similar to what they did with the Captain America failed movie.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Except that didn't really start as a pilot.
It was
That
just a
was
crap
intended to
movie.
be a movie. Yeah, that was just shit.
But yeah, this show was actually really cool with what they were doing with it. With as I said in my history part, they took a lot from John Byrne's Man of Steel series, which only came out like a couple of years before this show started.
Yeah.
So they sort of
Mike
pillaged that.
Carlin's role, Mike Carlin's run on Superman as well. He seems very
Yep.
influenced by that, and his name pops up all the time throughout the show.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
exactly.
always Carlin this, Carlin that. You see it like written on doors, on name tags.
Yeah,
Like
he was probably
you hear it.
like a comic consultant or something for the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he wrote a lot on Superboy, but he was obviously consulted. I mean, there was a thing about Lois and Clark where they were constantly in touch with the DC writers, and they would pitch them the ideas and stuff. But they just more often than not just didn't listen to a word the DC writers were actually telling them.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's pretty common even now, I think. So
oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think that also like changed a little bit after season 1 because after season 1, the original producer, like the woman who set up this show, Deborah Joy Levine or something,
that's it.
she
Yeah.
left the show and gave it to Robert Singer. Robert Singer has is like a TV veteran. He's got his name over literally anything that's like more than 2 seasons. His name is in it. Like
Oh yeah.
he's done all the seasons of Supernatural. I think he's involved with like the DC stuff now, so Supergirl, Arrow, all that sort of stuff.
It's
Um,
just one of those names you see popped up everywhere now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even
Uh,
back in the 90s, you saw it everywhere.
yeah, yeah, and he wanted to inject a little bit more action and comic book stuff. That's why, like in season 2, we got like Metallo and Prankster and Intergang. Intergang ran by
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell. Yeah, I thought that
Oh,
was pretty
I
cool.
loved season two.
Season
Season
two and
two is
season
probably
two
my
and
favourite season.
three, season 2 and 3 are the best the show was.
Well, three also had the shitty wedding arc.
Yeah, that's true. So like up until that.
Yeah, it had season three had some really good episodes in it, but it was sort of peppered in between with these absolute piles of dog shit.
Yeah, and I reckon if the show had like actually gotten through that and like started becoming good again, because it never really recovered from that, I think it would have been an amazing show. Because then we got introduced to like Kryptonians,
Yeah,
like
the
basically new
you mean
Krypton.
you mean not Zod?
Yeah, the guy that took over Smallville. I can't remember his name, Lord Nor or something.
Yeah, they didn't use a comic book character, which was a shame. Like that would have been so easy just to pick an obscure Kryptonian.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like some of the characters that they created for the show were actually kind of better than the comics as well. Like there was that guy in, I think it was season 3, named Tempest, who did the
Oh,
the time travel thing.
Tempest.
Yeah,
He was amazing. I love all of the Tempest episodes. Like, I mean, I love the way that Superman gets rid of him at the end of the episode by putting him in an insane asylum, and how
yeah,
that completely comes back to bite him in the ass in the present later on because
yeah,
he's written a diary, and like it was so fucking awesome.
yeah. It was great the way they like connected all these, like the comics basically.
Yeah,
And yeah, yeah,
it was almost like he sort of came across to me like rewatching. It almost seemed like he would have been a Legion of Superheroes villain.
yeah, yeah.
No,
That
those
he could
episodes
have.
would have been the perfect ones for the Legion to show up.
That would have been cool. Were the Legion like a big thing in the comics at those times? I think they were sort of
I
a
didn't
bit
really
more
read.
obscure than they were. Because I know
It
like
was
Jeff.
just the idea that Superman starts off a thing that leads to like a utopian future where there's like
Yeah, yeah,
statues of him and like there's a long line of Superman and
yeah,
no,
yeah.
it sounds like a very Legion idea. Like Superman is sort of he's the reason Legion exists, as you
Well,
know. So
yeah. Well, it sounds exactly like Jeff Johns' Legion of Superheroes, where Superboy goes into the future, and there's like all the statues of him and everything, and then
in,
Superman does the same thing, and yeah,
they could have easily just replaced H.G. Wells with Legion, and it would have worked perfectly, and it would have been that
yeah,
would have
yeah,
been great.
yeah.
That's why I love those episodes. H.G. Wells is fun, but yeah, I sort of watch those as sort of the Legion-y episodes.
Yeah, yeah, they're pretty fun. I reckon it would have been a lot better as well. Like once, if the show had gotten through that terrible wedding, how we got like a bunch of episodes where it was basically not on Earth anymore. There was like no Earth in it. There was Clark on that ship. I can't remember what its name
Yeah.
was. And
Oh,
he had that suit with the blue vest, and it was basically his black costume but with blue
yeah.
accents. It looked really cool.
I love that suit. I think that's one of the cooler ones. That's probably the coolest thing they did with the show. Like, I mean, not a lot of shows really just add a new suit for a few episodes,
Yeah, and
and it was
it was at the
awesome.
end of its run as well, so it was they probably knew they were going to get cancelled. So
It was like, screw it, let's do this. We've
yeah,
wanted to give him an alternate suit for a while. Like, it's
yeah,
a shame that it couldn't be around longer. It would have been cool if they got another season to have seen it come back for some reason or another.
yeah. I would have liked another season as well because they had like obviously the lingering plots with that
Oh,
baby and everything that was meant. Apparently, writers after the show got cancelled said that the baby was meant to be some Kryptonian royalty, and it was given to Lois and Clark because they could protect it.
see,
That
they should have just said that it was a baby girl and called it Kara.
that would have been cool. That would like a unique sort
Plus,
of
if they'd
tie-in.
revealed that it was Kara before the show ended as well, like in season four, they just said like it was just baby there and it was like Kara Zor-El or whatever. That would have just been. I would have even been happier for them to end the show there.
Yeah, well, like even if they said like, "Oh, this is Kara Zor-El," imagine like you could do a connection with the current Supergirl TV show.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
The,
Oh, I'd love that. That should have been that should have been in the pilot. I arrived as a baby on Earth. Just show a clip of just yeah, that would have been great.
yeah, an old 4x3 clip.
Just crop it. Why not? Just do a really shitty Blu-ray like HD release.
But yeah, this show was pretty great, and the effects on it were pretty okay for the time. It was the early 90s.
Yeah. I mean, the effects hold up. I mean, I think the effects, it's weird, hold up better in the pilot in some places than they do in the rest of the show.
Well, remember the
That-
pilot had like an $8 million
yeah,
budget, so
yeah. I mean, it does show. I think the flying work. I said this when we talked about Superboy on the previous episode. I think Superboy did the flying work better.
yeah,
I really
in
do.
some regards
So
it did. Yeah,
the green screen stuff, not so much, but the live wire work, the way that Jared Christopher in particular, like the way he flew and sort of his landings, they were. I don't know. It seemed a little bit more awkward on Lois and Clark, and it didn't make sense to me that they didn't just hire the same special effects team to do the flying,
yeah, yeah.
because they talk all the time on the behind the
It,
scenes documentary of how hard it was to come up with a
yeah,
flying system.
yeah. Well, it was like really weird because like last week I watched the pilot and then the episode after the pilot. And you
Mm.
see in the pilot like the way Dean Cain moves as Superman when he's on the wires and everything is more fluid than he did in the next episode.
Yeah,
So there's maybe like a different team or something came in or something because there's a part in the episode where he does the classic talking to Luther through the window.
yeah.
And he when he takes off, he sort of does this turn, and it's like really fluid and everything, and he does something similar in the next episode, and it looks really weird. I don't know what the
Yeah, it
different
was really
teams or something.
bizarre. That's what I have to assume is maybe that the flying stuff was technically like a second unit, and they shot a load of stuff in one day, which
Yeah,
explains why a lot of flying shots he's wearing the old suit as well.
yeah. Also, this
You
is
notice that a lot.
yeah, yeah. He's wearing that the smaller S and everything.
Not even that. It's sometimes you notice with the cape on the shoulders, especially in season one. A lot of the flying shots he's wearing the old suit with the really weird shoulder thing.
Yeah, yeah. I know which one you're talking about. Yep.
See, it was basically the suit they used all through the show, but I hated the cape attachment in those early episodes.
Yeah, it
The
was really
pilot got it
weird.
so much better.
Yeah, well, the pilot. I actually have like photos of the pilot up now for my video, and I like the S even better as well because the S was the thing that came from the crash and in the blankets and everything, and then they changed it to like this really big, weirdly looking one. I have no idea why.
Yeah, I prefer the big S. I'll be honest, because the smaller one, it just feels like they cut it out from a comic, and it was just like it
Yeah.
was the basic trademark logo S, and I like it when it's slightly different for
So
each medium.
I do like the big S mainly because it reminds me of Alex Ross's art.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I did like the smaller one because of like
If they
you
could have
see
gone
Mark
back
Kent
and re,
Get it from like
oh, I
the
remember that
thing and
scene.
everything, and it doesn't make any sense for it to be changed in the next episode.
Yeah, I think basically they'll just have you assume that the S didn't change, and it's like, oh, if they could reshoot that shot, they would.
Yeah,
I think it was literally just a decision like, I'll just ignore that. We'll just, as far as anyone's concerned, the S hasn't changed.
yeah, that's true.
Everybody knows it did. But no, yeah, I mean, it was. If they could have gone back and reshot that, I actually think they would have done 100%
Yeah.
if
Also,
they had the money to reshoot half the pilot.
also, this is the second TV show in a row where Lex Luthor has been sort of like a villain for the first season, and then like seasons after he's kind of appeared here and there, or like as a voice or something. Because
Yeah,
he did that in Superboy. He barely appeared in the later seasons, and then the same happened with Lois and Clark. And it's kind of disappointing because the guy who plays Lex Luthor, John Shear, is amazing Lex Luthor.
he's great. He's really, really good. I love the way that he says Superman as well. He's like Superman. The way he says the Superman. It's really, really. I'm putting it on a little bit, but it's really fun just listening to the way he says it throughout the show.
Yeah, and he was actually pretty threatening as well. I like
Oh yeah, he
that.
was. He was. You got who he was from the moment he had that staring contest with the snake.
Yeah, yeah. I was about to actually bring that up because is that in the pilot? I think.
Yeah, that's the pilot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, where he's like Butler like tries to kill him with a snake. I thought that was amazing. That's something Lex Luthor would
Oh,
do.
yeah, he's like, thank you. Same time tomorrow, sir.
Yeah, and then isn't he like he's like fencing with his fencing instructor on a balcony or something, and then just blows something up for the fun of it, and he does some amazing stuff in that first season.
He's a crazy person. He's a crazy person,
Yeah, it's
and not in like a that's paradoxical sort of way.
uh yeah, this show had some pretty cool villains.
Yeah. John
Metallo.
Shear would still make a good Lex Luthor. I think now that he's older, he'd almost make a more threatening Lex Luthor.
Oh yeah, that kind of older Lex Luthor. I always pictured Lex Luthor as a little bit older,
Yeah,
and
slightly overweight.
oh, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go for like the 70s and 80s one. I'd go
I'm
for like
thinking more like 90s before he died and then came back as a clone. Like when he lost a hand to kryptonite poisoning and he died of kryptonite cancer. well, he died. Well, he died purposely. They put him on an operating table and kept his brain in a jar for a while. That was a weird time.
Yeah, the 90s were a weird time for comics in general.
Great fun to read though. Great fun.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't really know what more we can really say on this show about it. It was a good
Uh,
show.
there was an episode where Superman was basically going up against the Nazis. I seem to remember. Is that right?
I
It
know
was
the
there a
episode.
Nazi episode?
It was like not Nazis, but
I
Nazis.
swear there were spot stickers though.
I don't know, but maybe
Oh,
I don't.
maybe they had a different symbol, but if for some reason it's my childhood memory, I just picture just swastikas everywhere in that episode.
I remember something about like some like
Maybe they had their own
military
symbol.
group
And I
trying
just
to take
substitute.
over Metropolis or something, or something similar
Oh.
to that.
Was it neo Nazis or something like that? And I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'll have to look that one up. I just have a really vivid memory. There was an episode where Superman fought neo Nazis in Metropolis.
See,
That must exist. I can't be
he,
going crazy. I've had that memory as long as I can remember.
that's just something you wanted dearly.
I'm googling it now.
It seems something that would happen, but they wouldn't be Nazi. They'd be like some business organization or something, whatever. If it was in the later seasons, they'd explain it away as some.
Wait, wait, wait. It's an episode called Superman, 2 words and man with 2 N's.
Yeah.
Uh, Lois and Clark must put their wedding plans on hold to investigate a Nazi organization which is trying to take over Metropolis.
I knew it was something to
Three
do with taking over.
neo-Nazis come out of suspended animation in Metropolis and try to take over.
See what we mean, people, when we say the show got ridiculous during the wedding?
I can't believe it. I'm looking at a picture of 2 Nazis standing in the Daily Planet in full Nazi costumes.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's
Oh,
amazing. I need to
speaking
go
of
back and watch that episode.
speaking of the Daily Planet, how good is Lane Smith as Perry White?
Oh, I can't believe we haven't talked about him yet. He's my favourite Perry White there's ever been on
He's
screen.
he's great. He
Anime,
brings the Great
like,
Caesar's Ghost and the Elvis and everything,
yeah,
and
the update to make it great, great shades of Elvis is
yeah.
fantastic.
Uh,
I love that line. I wish they would keep using that. I think they used it in the comics a couple of times as a nice little reference, but I wish that just became Perry White's catchphrase.
I know he was an amazing Perry White, and he was like a comic accurate Perry White. Whereas like I've talked about it before, but like Lawrence Fishburne in the new Superman movies isn't Perry White. He's just
He
some
has no
guy.
integrity.
No, he exactly. He just cares about those clickbaity headlines and everything. Whereas this Perry White actually cares for his paper, and it shows like a bunch of times where he stands up for his reporters and everything.
Especially the episode where he's kidnapped by Bruce Campbell, and
Yeah,
Bruce Campbell's giving him the chance to join into gang
yeah,
covertly, and he's
yes,
refusing, even though he knows they're going to kill him
yeah.
for it.
Same with when Lex Luthor tries to buy the Daily Planet. He basically tells him to
Yeah,
fuck off.
yeah, he gets fired. Like the Daily Planet closes down for a
It
couple
blows
episodes,
up. It blows up, and they have to rebuild it.
and then they're saved by Darth Vader. I can't believe they got James L. Jones.
Yeah, that's great. It was the 90s. You could get him for anything.
Yeah, he's like the is he the mayor of Metropolis or something like that, or is he just like a big businessman?
I think he was a big businessman, or like something to do with like journalism or something.
Yeah, like a media mogul or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they should have made him Morgan Edge or something.
yeah, that would have been pretty good.
But yeah,
Oh no,
the
it's great
entire
they have some
cast.
guest stars.
What was that? The guest stars. The guest stars are
Yeah,
great in this show.
yeah. I mean, it was amazing. Adam West came back for an episode, the same
Yep.
episode Frank Gorshin was in, the one
Yep.
where Superman gets sued. I love that episode.
That's a great episode. Great courtroom scene.
Yeah, yeah. Superman in court is just a fun idea at any time.
Yeah, he actually talks in this one, not stand around until shit blows up.
Yes, even though there is a bomb in but the thing is, there's a bomb in the room, but he detects it immediately, runs over and disposes of it.
Yeah.
Like it's not even a thing. He doesn't even have to see it. He smells the bomb. To be fair though, when he picks it up, it's in a briefcase that is literally smoking.
Well, they have to like establish that it's the bomb and not just some briefcase Superman hates. He has an
Yeah,
irrational
just
fear of brown briefcases.
oh, it's so good though. He's just like, there's a bomb in this briefcase, and he like picks it up. It's just like somebody's just got a smoke grenade or something, let it off, just shut the briefcase, and it's just holding. Oh, it's insane. They're like, oh yeah, because nobody else spotted that.
They're pranking Superman.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone would have spotted it and shouted pretty
Yeah.
quick if that was a. But no, that was this is great as well. There's so many things in Lois and Clark that you can actually see done in the Snyder movies, except he didn't do them as well.
Yeah, they're like bungled halfway through.
Yeah.
And
Superman walking down the corridors in handcuffs, Superman in a courtroom kind of thing with a bomb like is about to go off.
yeah, Superman
Him and
having to
Lex.
deal with trying to kill someone or wanting to kill someone. That
Yeah.
he does that a
Oh,
couple of times. I know that. And yeah, but yeah, the cast of this show. We were just talking about like Perry White and all that, but like Dean Cain as Superman is fantastic.
he's great. He's probably my third favorite Superman.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, I
I'd
count
say
Jared Christopher as a Superman rather than a Superboy. So
I'd say he's my second one, and I was going to include Tom Welling in there, but he never technically plays Superman. He only plays Clark Kent.
that's Tom Welling's not on my list either, just purely for that same reason.
Yeah. He was
Jared
he was
Christopher, he played Superboy, but he wore the suit. He was
yeah.
basically Superman, at least for those last two seasons.
Well, he was like 30 or something, so yeah,
Yeah.
he's a man.
At the time, he was the oldest actor to play the role. So.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was something ridiculous, like 4 years older than Christopher Reeve when he took the role.
yeah, he Dean Cain though is great as Superman and Clark Kent, and again with like the whole taking from John Byrne's Man of Steel, they made it so like Clark Kent wasn't really that much like a clumsy idiot.
Mm.
He was pretty
He could
competent as a
succeed on his
reporter and
own
everything.
terms. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think his performance was stronger. This is probably weird to say because this almost never happens with actors. I think his performance was stronger in the first two seasons. I
Hmm.
think he got too comfortable in the role.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Terry Hatcher the same thing. I think she was working harder in the first two seasons. Lane Smith, his performance was just consistently great, so I
oh
can't
yeah,
really fault
yeah,
him.
yeah. Terry Hatcher was a fantastic Lois Lane, and the first Lois Lane as well as since this sort of coincided as well with the Superman animated show. Um, that
Yeah.
shows her not as just a damsel in distress, that she can sort of take care of herself and everything,
Mm.
which was great, especially for like this show, which was kind of based around a romance sort of thing. So you'd think they'd go a little bit more into the whole damsel in
It
distress thing.
was it was a romance thing, but it was written also like it was written and produced initially by a woman, and she was heavily into the feminist thing, and she did a great job. She made Lois a very strong female character who doesn't need a man to get by in the world. She's doing very very well on her
Which
own
is
before Clark even enters the picture.
which is kind of like what you expect her to be, because she, her
That's what she
father
should.
her father was like a general in the army, and she grew up as an army
She's
brat,
tough.
so she grew around, and that's something that's even brought up in like Smallville.
Yeah,
That's like the reason why she turned out how she is, and she's able to like
General
handle
Lane is
herself and
great.
everything.
Like General Lane is one of the best parts of Smallville in the
Yeah,
later seasons, I think.
Michael Ironside, man.
Yeah, yeah. What weird casting for the father of Lois Lane, but it totally worked.
Oh yeah, it totally works. But yeah, I don't know.
Oh, we haven't even talked about the two Jimmies.
Oh yeah, god damn. Talk
Like, I
about
mean,
so much
I like
stuff.
season one Jimmy, but I mean, actually, I think I prefer season one Jimmy.
I do as well, but they got rid of him because he looked too much like Dean Cain.
Well, that's one of the reasons potentially. The other
Yeah,
reason was Sequest. They wanted a younger Jimmy so they could get young girls fancying him.
yeah. There's like conflicting reports, but the official one was that he looked a bit too much like Dean, and he kind of did. But as
Mm.
well, there's probably like a bunch of different reasons why.
I mean, I watched it as a kid, and I never confused the two.
Yeah, no, like when I watched it even recently, I never really sort of looked at them and went, they look the same and everything.
Maybe back then televisions were kind of shitty, and like the picture, because I
Like,
mean it
why has
was
Dean
back
Cain
then.
got a camera and being yelled at by Lane Smith?
There's two Dean Canes on screen now. Oh, but no, I mean maybe that was the reason. TVs genuinely in the '90s were kind of shit compared to now. Like you watch them now on DVD, and you'd sort of take for granted how good the quality was. But
Yeah.
back when it aired, people didn't see it in that sort of quality.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
People saw it in barely VHS, basically.
Yeah,
Hmm.
nice little 480p screens.
Yeah, that's why I'm so thankful that they re-released Superboy on a DVD finally and remastered all the original tapes and stuff, because basically any version you wanted to watch was just someone had put on DVD their old VHS tapes they'd recorded off the telly when it
Yes,
first aired.
so you'd get all the tracking and everything on it, and it looked
Yeah, I
terrible.
mean that's I when I first bought the complete series of that, I literally bought it and it was exactly that, and it even had all the American TV spots in the middle.
Oh wow.
Like it had the ad breaks. There's like peanut butter adverts and like car insurance, and all these companies that don't exist anymore. But yeah, some of them have been cut out. But every now and then you could tell whoever it was making the DVD had just like missed one, and it was kind of special.
Why is this random ad in the middle of my Superboy episode?
Yeah, it's never been sold in the UK, and I don't even know if it's still sold in the US. But for some reason, I know the Peter Pan peanut butter jingle by heart. I'll have peanut butter anytime I can, but only if it's Peter Pan.
Oh, that's great.
And that's because I love Superboy.
That's so
How
weird.
mad was that? I got just the way it works.
Uh,
Uh,
but I hope they do release this show in some kind of format. I'm like they should just do like a remaster Blu-ray or something.
See, I mean, I've been saying for that for Smallville as well, and people
Yeah,
keep
well,
saying
yeah, Smallville. Like, why hasn't that gotten
Smallville
like a
has
full?
later seasons.
Yeah, it's got like from seasons I think like 6 to 9 is all in Blu-ray, but seasons 1 to 5 aren't. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, especially with the popularity of Supergirl at the moment, they could probably sell those pretty well.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. You just like market it with Supergirl, and although in
Exactly.
saying that, people might, because of like Supergirl season 2 coming out with Superman, they might sort of confuse it a little bit.
Well, I mean, all you'd need to do is somewhere towards the end of season 2, have Tom Welling make a cameo on Supergirl, and just say that during that episode, in the TV spot, that's when you advertise Smallville seasons 1 to 10 Blu-ray collection coming soon.
They should do that because initially I thought when they released a massive box set of all the seasons of Smallville, I originally thought they were doing a Blu-ray and a DVD one. So I was like
It's
getting ready to
just
buy it,
DVD.
and it's just DVD, and it really pissed me off because they had some really great stuff in it. They have like a newspaper and just all these special features, and it was
See, I,
amazing.
I want to get that as well, but at the same time, I want to get Blu-ray, and
Yeah,
I know that eventually they've got to eventually release it, surely.
I would think so. Maybe they're waiting for well, the 75th anniversary of Superman's already passed, so next one's in
Yeah,
5 years on the 80th.
yeah. I mean, I think that's the one when we'll get Lois and Clark. I hope.
Actually, it's not too far away because the 75th anniversary, when was that? Last year?
I
Year
don't.
before?
Yeah, something like that.
I can't
It
remember.
seems like yesterday, but yeah, it
Yeah.
must have been a few years back.
I think it might have been like closer to when Man of Steel was released because they released that short, remember?
Yeah,
That
it came
amazing
after.
short that Zack Snyder apparently did, and it was more Superman than his actual movies.
Yeah, well, they said he directed it, but basically what that means is he basically went into the room and said, "I want you to start with the first Superman and make it turn into the new Superman," and then he walked out of the room.
Yeah, and left Bruce Timm to do everything.
Yeah, then Bruce Timm just did everything else, and then also made an awesome Batman cartoon as well.
Yeah.
Bruce Timm was like fuming. He was just like, "Oh fuck, now I've got to do both. I've got to do Superman and Batman now. Who wants to direct both?" And then Zack Snyder pops his head in the door and is like, "That's an idea."
uh,
And then the world ended.
yeah, unfortunately.
I bet that's how it went down. I'd put money on that at some point. Yeah, Bruce Timm was moaning that he's got to direct Batman and Superman, and Zack Snyder got pissed off, so he was like, "Fuck you, I'm going to direct Batman and Superman,
They made competing movies and they had to vote
and
on
I'll
which.
throw Wonder Woman and Aquaman and the Flash and Cyborg in there too."
Yeah, Doomsday and all these other things, and
Fucking Doomsday.
oh, we don't have time to make Doomsday. Oh, we'll just use a cave troll from Lord of the Rings. Weta owns them. They make our costumes. We'll use them.
Oh, the thing it's amazing that you said earlier as well about how Lois and Clark created Tempest, and like they had some good original villains as well. But
They
how
did.
pissed off do you think they were that they were like, "Oh, we're gonna whatever they're gonna do in the comics now, we'll try and do a version of it on the show," and then the
Oh
comics.
fuck! They killed off our main character.
They killed off our main character with a monster we literally can't do on a TV budget. Before making a movie for a very long time.
Well, they could do him on a budget if they did it like the old monster movies and not shown him, and like how Smallville did it.
They should have just hired Lou Ferrigno and glued bones to him.
That would have been great. Paint
He
him
was
grey.
as well.
Paint him grey. Put some green shorts on him.
He's like, I'm sure this is the other way around.
Or better yet, they just hire some big guy and throw like green trash bags over him and put some goggles on him. Just it's
As long as they don't
Doomsday.
do this, as long as they don't do the Smallville one.
Oh
Smallville,
god,
they had good intentions, but that looked goofy as fuck.
that was horrible. I didn't like the whole idea of that Smallville anyway. How it was like some normal guy, normal Kryptonian guy who transforms into him. That's so stupid.
Yeah, it was dumb. I mean, Superman Doomed kind of done a similar thing though years later that pissed me off. It
That was
Superman.
handled a little bit better because that
It
technically
was better.
wasn't Doomsday. It was
Yeah,
a
it was better.
virus.
It's also the inspiration for Zack Snyder's Doomsday.
Uh,
So yeah, but I don't know. I think the Smallville one it had an okay idea. I liked they got rid of didn't they get rid of it by burying it underground?
yeah, and it was never seen again.
Yeah, but that's how it should be. Doomsday's going to come back in 10 years fully formed and
Yeah.
kill Superman.
Well, it won't because like the comics don't run anymore.
Yeah, well, in my mind, it happened.
Yeah, in my mind, he came back 10 years, and it was the actual death of Superman.
See, how good would it be at the 10th anniversary of Smallville ending if they put out a single comic book and it was just the death of Superman told in the Smallville universe?
I mean, the TV movie.
TV movie, I would love that to happen. I can't see it happening.
No, I can't either.
Maybe at some point they'll do it on Supergirl and do it right.
I'm still pissed. I'm still
Supergirl
pissed.
gets killed by Doomsday, and then Superman kills Doomsday as a result.
I'm still pissed that Smallville wasn't seen in the universes when Barry travels through multiverse.
Yeah, Smallville should have been on there for sure.
Yeah,
If
they used the
Supergirl's
same.
in there, Smallville should have been.
Yes, Supergirl's was, but they used the same Legion ring, so you never know.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been so cool if they just gone through the entire DC universe in that scene.
Yeah,
Like you have Adam West.
Lois and Clark, Jared Christopher Superboy, Kirk Allen, George Reeves.
Exactly, Christopher Reeve. You just get Adam West, Tim Burton's Batman's Val Kilmer, even Clooney.
All you see is that he's traveling through the multiverse, and it's just like this butt shot.
You get Shaq in Steel.
Oh God, no!
You have to include him. You're going to include everyone
in that goofy helmet.
Yeah, now you've literally got to include everyone. So you got to include like Swamp Thing from the TV movies or the actual movies. Oh shit! Wonder Woman, Linda Carter would be a good thing to have in there. And now she's playing the president in Supergirl. Yeah.
But anyway, Lois and Clark was good.
Lois and Clark was awesome.
We kind of went off on a tangent there.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I've been reading a lot of 90s Superman comics lately, and just talking about Lois and Clark gets me in a Superman mood.
It does. It's hard to stop us once we get going, but we're probably going to have to stop now since we've been talking for almost 40 minutes.
Jesus Christ. This is a special extended episode.
Well, this is going to be extended anyway because I did a lot of research on it, more than I did on my other ones, because there's the amazing websites out there for this show. And I think it's going to be more like that for the upcoming episodes, because we're entering like the stuff that has been catalogued on the internet, whereas the older stuff really hasn't.
Yeah, make sure you tweet it at Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher, everyone. if they're on Twitter.
No, Dean Cain's dead, remember? So.
Oh shit! He died at Man Camp.
I'm gonna use that poster for Dean. If people haven't seen it, look up the Dean Cain Man Camp poster. It's amazing.
Put it on the screen during this part of the video.
It's an amazing bit of artwork there that I imagine will go on in history as some of the best artwork in the world.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realise, but that poster was actually one of the earliest commissioned pieces by Boss Logic.
Only our real fans will know what that means, so yeah. So anyway, let's wrap this up. Lois and Clark, good show. I really enjoyed it. I know you did as well, Tom.
It's my second favourite version of Superman on television, and that includes the animated stuff.
Yeah, it's up there. It's up there for me. It's probably my third. and I'll probably get into more of them a little later on in my other parts of this show. But thank you for joining me. Go follow Tom over on his YouTube channel. He does some really good stuff there. You're doing Tom Talks on Are you doing them on Comic Book Cast or your channel?
They're on CBC, but at some point they'll also go onto my channel. But I'm waiting like months and months. I've no rush for them to go onto my channel. I'm just keeping them back in case they get taken down for copyright.
That's smart. Have you got one coming up?
Well, the newest one, I mean, the other day I bought a couple new comics. The issue where Toyman kills Cat Grant's son, so that's going to be an interesting one to talk about.
Great
I'm
issue.
gonna try and come up with a really clickbaity title as well for it. So
Just call
it'll
it
probably be out.
clickbait title. Just call it clickbait title.
But, I mean, I don't know when you're gonna set up. It might already be out by then, but I'm probably gonna call it something like Cat. Yeah, I'll call it something like Cat Grant's son killed by Toyman, and I'll put a screenshot from Supergirl in the thumbnail as well, just to really piss people off.
That'll be
They'll think
great.
I'm spoiling the show. It'll be hilarious.
That'll be great. So yeah, definitely go follow Tom on social media and YouTube and everything, and stay tuned for the next part of Superman Media here on Fortress of Solitude. Take care, guys. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching my latest video, hope you enjoyed it. While you're here, why not check out another one of my reviews, like and subscribe my channel for more reviews and videos, and follow me on Twitter at Matt_FOS. Thanks guys, and I will see you all next time.